Good evening. You're about to see a video I put together of one of the finest Veterans for Peace members of the Smedley Butler chapter. His long relationship with the chapter is what the video's about. A 20-year naval officer, Tony Flaherty. At Tony's celebration of life, I was asked, and many spoke of his life, and they said it was the shortest speech of my career. I basically just said, Tony will be surely missed. I'm going to make up for it now. I used to talk to Tony maybe at least once a week, and he was like a mentor. He would help me deal with other people. Every now and then, he would get angry with VFP and threaten to quit. And I'd tell him, find me another veterans organization better than Veterans for Peace, and I'm right behind you. I've known Tony for almost 20 years, and we shared many exciting moments together. The one that sticks out is the first time we walked behind the Allied Vets Parade, the 13 of us, about 15 years ago. The Allied Vets called the police. The police arrived and stopped us, but the head officer in charge noticed that one of our 13 members had served with him in Vietnam and felt it was disrespectful to not let combat vets march in the St. Patty's Day parade. It's another one that stuck out very much with me in Crawford, Texas, when we marched with Cindy Sheehan. And she was marching in the ditch. Myself with the camera and other reporters were out there on the road, but she had to march in the ditch with the snakes and the ants. And it was 100-degree weather. It was hot. And all of a sudden, they stopped her, and the confrontation started. You'll see this in the video. And it looked like the hostilities were going to burst. But Tony took off his shirt and started the Lord's Prayer and quieted the hostilities. I could tell many, many stories with Tony over the years, but we want to get to the video. Shortly after he died, he sent out, Winston Warfield sent out a video, and it just simply said, he will be missed. And Tony's sister, Kate, she said, that says it all. Tony Flaherty, presente.
I've traveled round the country and I'll tell you what I've seen. A million yellow ribbons and I've wondered what they mean. It's love and hope and sympathy for those who've gone to fight. Still I know that none of these can make the killing right. When we see two children fighting, don't we try to come between. We get 'em both to talk instead of acting rough and mean. We give 'em love and limits, say now try to get along. Then we tell 'em it's all right to kill, to prove that killing's wrong. Sometimes that yellow ribbon tries to make me feel ashamed. It tells me I'm a traitor, that somehow it's me to blame. But I can't hide behind it just to prove that I belong. And I won't be an accomplice to things I know are wrong. But I'd wear a yellow ribbon for the peace that's in my heart. I'd wear it for the loved ones who should never have to part. I'd wear it for the wasted lives, no matter friend or foe. And I'd wear it for the children if they never had to go. Yes, I've seen the yellow ribbons hanging up all over town, but I don't think they'll ever buy the peace we've never found. The guns will all be silent and the battle flags all furled when we tie a yellow ribbon round the world. The guns will all be silent and the battle flags all furled when we tie a yellow ribbon round the world.
You can be out anywhere. You can take your mind any place because your mind's open. The rest is up to you. You can dream.
evening. Welcome to Insights. Tonight's Insights show is a combination of videos that I and a couple others took, Kurt here at Erickson and some others, and interviews with people at the St. Patty's Day Parade 2013 in South Boston. Oh, sorry, St. Patty's Day Peace Parade, which is the second parade because the advocates for peace and others, as people in the gay and lesbian population, are not allowed, and others not allowed in the St. Boston regular St. Patty's Day Parade, which is run by the Allied Vets. Tonight, who I call the main culprit for putting this together to start this off 10 years ago, with only 13 of us in that alternate parade, is a longtime military officer of the U.S. Navy, who I believe served not only in Vietnam, but maybe Korea too, and in combat areas in Vietnam, and is an active member and participant of Veterans for Peace. His name, well known throughout the South Boston area, and in the, I'm sure, the mayor's office and others, and Lynch's office for sure, is Tony Flaherty. Welcome to Insights, Tony.
Good evening, Jesse.
Good to have you here again.
Thank you.
You had you here before, once or twice, and today it's a new day. And Tony, what we want to start off with, you can tell me about the genesis of this, how it started, because I can almost see back when it was a little bit more hostile 10 years ago, when we marched up Broadway, and I can remember getting beer spilled on me and stuff, and a little bit more hostile back in those days in South Boston. But tell me how we started this whole parade and where it's come from, and how far it's developed.
Well, Jesse, in many ways, I think it's just history repeating itself. If you recall, 10 years ago, Veterans for Peace and the advent of the Iraq War marched, 13 of us, with the permission of the Boston Police, in the St. Patrick's Day Parade, protesting the sanctions and the upcoming war on Iraq, which took place 3 days later. That seemed to offend certain sensibilities in this of the Allied war veterans and in the city of Boston. And it seems that peace at that time, Jesse, was not considered patriotic. Here we are now, 10 years later, and the drum beats on Iran are beating again. And what's the difference? We got sanctions on Iran, it's the same as we did in Iraq, which really are criminal and cause that are really acts of war. Everybody, you have senators and representatives advocating attack on Iraq, and even up through the Democratic establishment. Every time I turn around, I'm hearing all bets are off the table. So I didn't see 10 years ago, we only had 13. 10 years later, it seems the same situation, albeit a little bit more, with a little bit more finesse, but I hear the drums of war beating again. But this time, we had a considerably a greater number with us, I think about 2,500.
What I want to get on to is, Tony, that 13, I mean, we really built it up, and with the help of really the involvement of Pat Scallon and others in the VFP, which have really brought this organization well forward in the last 5 or 6 years. And the situation that 3 years ago, I think we had approximately 500 people there, maybe, if that. And then last year, I estimated between 1,500 and 2,000. And this year, with the crowd, we estimated our group in our parade, which now at first was just a couple of divisions, and it was just us and one little house band from the leftist band. But now there's 8 divisions and 30 entries and 8 bands. Well, Pat says 8. You and I thought there was 5 or 6 bands, but you'll see in the video. And the video shows the number of bands. But you know, what do you think of this group? Even though you say times have changed, we haven't succeeded, and sometimes you say, damn, I've been working all my life to stop the abolishment, to get the abolishment of war, which is nothing more than a financial gain for few, and we'll have we go to that later. But I think that maybe the South Boston people are starting to recognize us, and are we succeeding in preventing these wars and getting people's attention about the absurdity of them and unnecessariness of them?
Well, Jesse, if we go back 10 years, when we did march, as I said, it seemed the political establishment was really upset with us. And the then president of the city council said, and I can quote him directly, it was in the paper, "Who the hell are Veterans for Peace?" Well, 10 years later, I think that we've answered that question, and I think through the remarkable efforts. Thank God for you, Jesse. I'm too old for this, and you're getting as old as I am.
Yeah,
and
catching up.
I myself probably, I'm kind of a loner. But through the efforts of our coordinator, Pat Scanlon, brought youth and a dream to this thing here. Listen, we had over 30 separate entities. We had the Sierra Club. I have the listed here.
I'll have them in
but
the-
we
the
didn't
credits.
miss many. It's a remarkable coalition of brothers and sisters dedicated to peace and justice. I think that it's been the greatest or the biggest demonstration of people united for peace and justice in the city of Boston. And I do believe that we have to take a look at this, nurture these relationships, and by God, bring it to the effect of the political establishment, just who the hell, the people who are clamoring for peace and justice, that's about time they be listened to. Because we are not now. We all know there isn't, most of us feel there isn't a goddamn bit of sense being made going to the ballot box because they go ahead and do what they want to. In South Boston alone, those people voted 60-40 to bring the troops home from Iraq in 2006. You never heard a word about it from any one of the political establishment, and you still don't. I said, the people are clamoring for peace and for justice, and I believe that we may have put a stake in the ground for these people to coalesce together. You know, Jesse, there's an old saying, son of the rich man, son of the saint, who's the child without complaint? I think we all have to give up our individual axes to grind and everything else and join together, as Pat calls it, brothers and sisters united for peace and justice.
Okay, here we are again with the major culprit for the creation of this parade. This Tony Flaherty, who initiated this with myself and 12 others back in 2003. And it's come a long way, and it's still got a ways to go. What do you think, Tony, of how it was then, what it's now, and where we're going from here?
Well, I don't know where the hell we're going from here right now. It's going to be cold and windy, and I think there's some surprises in store. But like you said, Jesse, we come from 13 to, I think in 2010, 500. I think we had at least 2,500 last year. And if it don't get much colder, maybe we'll have about 3,000 or 4,000 today. But I think that the most important thing is the banding together of so many other causes for social justice, so that we're establishing a greater community of people dedicated to peace and justice. Without one, you can't have the other, you know.
Well, they're sort of the same, they're synonymous, the same word. Tony, but the reception from the people in South Boston, I remember I was with you back in 2003. Somebody spilled beer on me, but that's okay. But here today, I think we get a lot of positive response and cheering, especially from the young.
Well, we have as you know, there's been a great deal of press, a great deal of misinformation, and a great deal of lies going on with the surrounding the parade and the gay and lesbian communities, which has overridden. As a matter of fact, we're not veterans of peace, we're the unmentionables. A lot has happened. I do think it's somewhat like the 6 Irishmen in the bar in the north of Ireland, right on the border rather, and they start drinking up at midnight, and at midnight they say, let's go blow up the border. They go running outside, and then it occurs to them nobody knows where the goddamn border is. Now, that's what's going on here in Boston with respect to this parade. You don't hear us mentions yet. We are probably the persons that should be provoking the most debate, especially since now the war drums are beating for the Ukraine, just as they were for Iraq.
Well, Tony, I think one of the problems here is that it's been made very clear to us from the city that we cannot have any peace signs in our parade. So I don't think the city or the media wants to announce that we're not allowed because we have peace signs. That peace is a dirty word in Boston.
Well, I do think that this year that's going to be changed. That is a perception. Let's face it. Given the advances in media today, but I do think, Jesse, that there was an old saying, something's blowing in the wind. Well, Jesse, I was gratified to see so many voices for peace and the different voices for peace. And then, in some ways, the way we appeal to the children with the puppets for peace.
Oh, yeah.
As you know, what disturbs me most, Jesse, about the St. Patrick's Day events is that it has become, the main parade, is nothing less than a military spectacle wherein people who have forgotten their roots bring their children to root and clap for brigades of mostly minority and disenfranchised children who will be marching by. And these people will be applauding and urging their children to applaud children who don't get much applause in life, Jesse. But you know something, Jesse? They're going to be the next cannon fodder. And these people are very comfortable knowing it's not their children. So it was heartening for me to see the breadth of the participation of various peace organizations and people dedicated to justice in our society.
That's right. We did not violate it. I said, I'm going to go see the president, so I'm going to walk in this ditch.
As you told us.
And I did not step 1 foot over there. I stayed in the ditch, so you let me go through. I didn't stay. I didn't go over there. I stayed in the ditch.
And look at what everybody is doing. Look at that, you know.
He killed her son. He killed her son. He killed her son. He killed her son.
Take your sunglasses off and look her in the eye.
How about that?
How about you take your sunglasses off and look her in the eye? How about you take your sunglasses off and look her in the eye? I did not.
W killed her son.
He is a war criminal.
killed her son. W killed her son. W killed her son.
Down and trouble, and you need a helping hand, and nothing Oh, nothing is going right. Close your eyes and think of me, and soon I will be there to brighten up even your darkest night.
How many soldiers of war wonder what they've been fighting for? When will all conflict cease? Not till we know the power of peace.
How many children must die, not understanding how or why? Too many moms each day, innocent victims pay.
Oh, people know our world needs care. Let nations unite and learn to share. Join with each other, help conflict cease. Let it cease. Then we will know the power of peace. Yeah, yeah. Refugees run from fear, clutching the ones they hold so dear.
Trying to ease the pain. We cannot let them down again.
No, 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 no,
Oh, when will all conflict cease? Not till we know the power of peace.
All people know our world needs care. Let nations unite and learn to share. So join with each other, help conflict cease. Then we will know the power of peace.
A family of nations, that's our goal.
Reaching to touch each heart and soul. Upward and on, no backward glance. There's just one way, give peace a chance.
There's just one way, give peace a chance. Give peace a chance. Oh, peace. Power in the peace. The power of peace.
Give peace a chance.